Welcome to another episode of Yesterday's Capers. I'm Abdullah Moallim, and every week I'll be bringing you the very best shows from the past that the world has to offer. Happy Black History Month! Yes, we'll be spending the next month talking about some of the very best black TV shows and cartoons. This week, we're talking heroes and anti-heroes as we look back at I Am the Greatest, The Adventures of Muhammad Ali, and The Gary Coleman Show. What you talking about, Willis? And we talk Spawn, or Todd McFarlane's Spawn. This cartoon really was something, and I for one can't wait to talk about it. So, let's get started. And joining me as ever is producer Paul, who not break protocol, but like text me going, "Oh my god, this program was great," and I couldn't wait to start watching.
Yeah, I think I found another one that I was like genuinely wouldn't mind watching this just as a show. Because we're watching good shows. Not often do we find one that's actually like, all right, fair dues, I found a new show now. But the Gary Coleman show, I hope I've watched the right one. Is Guardian Angel in it, right?
Yeah, I sent you a link on YouTube.
Yeah, no, but I
sent you a link. Don't worry. I said I would never send you the wrong link.
Cool. All right. Okay. Good.
Unless you went off down the rabbit hole and found something else.
Maybe, but I mean, I hope not.
Yeah, I don't want you to be talking about Different Strokes or any of the other stuff that Gary Coleman was in. I sent you a link. If it was wrong, then
it's a cartoon. He's a guardian angel, and his name's I can't remember what his name is.
Andy LeBeau.
Yeah,
that's his name. Like I said, it's Black History Month in the UK, and obviously this is for new listeners because we're getting new listeners all the time. And obviously, OG listeners will know by now, October in the UK is Black History Month. And yeah, we'll be talking about black TV shows, black cartoons, all black everything for this next month or so. So sit back and enjoy. Before I start, I wanted to talk about Sarah Everard again because this was the week when the police officer, Wayne Couzens, was convicted and found guilty.
And he's been sent to prison for the rest of his life.
Yep, he can't get out. It is like a life sentence, and it's the very least they could have done. And yeah, obviously, only Sarah Everard's family can say whether it's justice or not. I don't think it's for any of us to say, yeah. I mean, obviously, it's lock him away. He's a scumbag and he deserves to be locked away for life. But obviously, true justice, I think only Sarah's family can truly say whether.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't really know what else to say on the subject because it's just it's a horrible
it is
thing.
And I wanted to talk about this for the longest, but I just couldn't remember for my great shame. And it was like Sabina Nessa as well. And it's a kind of like you can draw parallels. It's like for whatever reason, we're always like telling women, right, do this, do that, follow this, follow that. And it's still men who are doing all the killing, doing all the messing up. It's always like, oh, how do we stop women from doing this? It's like, that's not even where you start. How do men? That's where you should start. And again, it was bringing up all of those questions about what we as men should do and need to do. And it's one of those things where you have to, again, because I was talking about it when we was like sometimes I go for a run, and I've kind of mentioned this before, but again, for the sake of new listeners, sometimes when I go for a run, I'll see like a woman jogger, and she will like nod her head at me like, "What's up?" And I used to think, "What's up?" I thought, it's okay, someone's telling me what's up. Okay, runners union and all of that. But most of the time, like, it's probably like to scan the park, to scope it out. Is this person gonna attack me? Because you don't know me from Adam. Don't know who I am, what I might do, what I might not do. So it's one of the things where I'm just gonna say hi to this person just so that he doesn't think that, you know what I mean? And again, it's one of those things where if you're walking at night, cross the road. even just night at daytime, if you see a woman kind of like ahead of you, just cross the road, safe distance, and all of those things.
But the thing is sometimes when you're trying not to act suspicious, you act more suspicious. Have you noticed? So like,
No,
you know,
I mean, if I'm crossing the road and I'm getting out someone's way, then that's fine. That's not necessarily suspicious. It's just one of those things where if you're like kind of there on the same kind of path and still not adhering to it, okay, you might not be, but this is not about not all men and all those things. It's like they're kind of like planning to stay alive from going from one place to another.
but it's kind of like, sadly, it's like we're at the moment. It's heightened tensions, especially at the moment, right? So I think we've got to like play it slightly differently even now.
Well, of course, yeah, and then obviously you had the police coming up with all of these wild statements about what people should do.
But the thing is, you've always been able to call 999 when you get arrested or there's a police officer there. Like you've always been able to do that. That's completely within your rights to do that. To just call 999, give him the badge number, and say, "Is this officer at this time? And is he legit?" Right? You've always been, but what I'm saying
You're
is,
allowed to do that, but in the moment, I'll tell you firsthand from experience, when you're with police officers, you forget your own name. You forget who you are and where you are at that moment in time. Never mind your rights, never mind your laws. Can you imagine that time when I was getting caught up with the police? If I tried to like run, or if I tried to I don't know, like question them or give them attitude. Me, a 6'2" black man.
you
Can you
get
imagine
shot.
what they would have done? Exactly. They would have tasered me into the next decade. But it's one of those things where like they're saying, "Oh, you should do this, you should do that, you should resist arrest, you should run, you should hail for a bus." It's like, yeah, that's not really going to work for black people and black women.
That's how you get shot.
You can't tell people, especially people of color, you can't tell them, "Oh, do this and this with the police and talk back and give attitude." That's just like some bozo the clown kind of mess. Like,
So that was my point, right? The point is that the stuff that they're coming out to say to do isn't new. They haven't done anything else, right? The fact is, like, they need to do more, right? The
I
police
don't
need
think
to do
it,
more.
I don't yeah, but I don't think it's a case of them like reminding people of what the law is.
No, that's what I'm saying.
It's a case of,
They were pretending like, look how much we've done. Look what steps we've changed, and in actual fact, they changed nothing.
no,
Like,
but yeah, and it's one of those things that they're saying, "Oh, this is what you could do if you find yourself in that situation." And more often than not, if a police officer pulls up on you, does the whole spiel, does the whole talk, you're gonna believe them. You're gonna think, "Oh, damn, it's the police. It's legit. I've got a badge. I know all the rules."
but I know you're not allowed to be arrested unless there's two police officers there. Like that's a rule. You can't be detained unless there's two police officers there.
See, I didn't even know that. Again, I would have just complied with the law, because it's one of those things where, for me as a black person, if you're thinking, "Oh, I'm with the police," your kind of instinct's going to be, "Okay, how the hell am I going to get out of this alive? How the hell am I going to get out of it without being a story, without being a situation?" Literally, I'm not thinking, I don't even know my own name. Never mind the law. Section 24? What? Section what? Like, what's my name? How old am I? Where do I live? Who am I? What is this? It's more often than not, it's an out of body experience. And that's just me from experience, and even from like a young age. Even you're not thinking, "Oh my god, what are they doing? Is this right? Is this wrong?" You just kind of have to hope that you get out of it unharmed, and you're now saying to people, "Oh, do this, do that," and that's not really gonna
Not gonna
work
fly.
out. And it's not, yeah, and like I said, particularly with minorities, it's definitely not gonna fly. Are you crazy? Like, me, I'm gonna go to a police officer and I'm gonna try and resist arrest. Like, what? I'm gonna read out the laws.
Yeah, but that's the thing, isn't it? Like the police are supposed to be there to protect us, and it's kind of flipped on its head. We've got to protect ourselves from the police. It's very backward.
Yeah,
Which is why I think let's face it, right? If you are getting into trouble, we're going to call the police. That's what we're going to do. We have nothing else to do, right? So it's up to the police and the government to sort out this mess and to make everybody safe again. It's just, speaking of which, not about keeping safe and stuff like that, but just on a kind of side tangent, what the hell is the government doing with this bloody fuel crisis? I mean, I'm now on my last quarter tank, haven't been able to get fuel for the last 2 weeks now. And
Yeah, because it's all run out here, isn't it?
Yeah,
Where we
exactly.
live.
And no one's saying the government stuffed it up. Like they're always, they're just saying, "Oh, the government's doing this to sort it out. The government's drafting in the army. The government's doing this." No, the government ballsed it up, man. Like,
Do you know what it is? This government, like, on their watch, over 100,000 people died of COVID, and they didn't have to die. And everybody's just kind of like looking at it and thinking, "Yeah, it happened. It is what it is." So every crisis, every problem, they just seem to be like riding the crest of the wave. And it's like even Labour Party having their conference, the Conservatives are still like comfortably ahead in the polls. It's like nothing's gonna bring them down.
but that's what I'm saying. Like, people are stupid enough to vote for it, man. Like, it's just actually getting on my nerves now.
Well, I think the media in this country were compliant to everything that's happening right now, and you had like a bunch of people going, "Oh well, this is gonna be the making of the UK, Brexit, Brexit, Brexit," and it's like, okay, this is it. And yeah, like we were just kind of lulled into this government, and it's just like whatever crisis they keep on getting into, it's like nobody seems to hold them to account, and nobody can really. And yeah, like I said, you've got a compliant media in this country who just sat there and allowed this to happen. So, and they'll just ride this wave, and they'll keep riding the wave, and they'll just keep on doing whatever it is they're doing, or whatever it is they aren't doing. And I mean, as for me, I currently cannot drive, or I'm currently not taking the risk to drive, not because of the petrol thing. I've still got about half left, but
I might take some on that.
I ain't using it. Damn, I mean, if it comes to it, you can have it, because obviously I can't drive while my gearbox is
in a bit of a state.
liable to play up at any given moment. I guess I can drive and take the risk, but particularly on the journeys that I take, particularly to work, I'm on the A127, and there's like a chunk of it where it's like 60, 70 mile an hour roads. There isn't any real hard shoulder. You just got to go with the flow, or yeah. I can't. I just can't take that risk. So right, let's kick off, and we're gonna start with "I Am the Greatest: The Adventures of Muhammad Ali." And this cartoon first came out in September 1977. Some of the things happening in the world: the Petrozavodsk phenomenon is observed in the Soviet Union and some northern European countries. The Atari 2600, originally known as the Atari Video Computer System, is released in North America, revolutionizing the video game industry. Speaking of Muhammad Ali, he beat Ernie Shavers in 15 rounds to win the heavyweight title. The Trial of Lee Harvey Oswald was in the cinemas, and Best of My Love by The Emotions was in the charts. It's a pretty good song, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. I Am the Greatest: The Adventures of Muhammad Ali. So this was an animated series featuring boxer Muhammad Ali, who actually did perform his own voice. The series was broadcast on Saturday mornings and produced by Fred Calvert's independent production company, Farmhouse Films, but it was cancelled pretty quickly after low ratings. And basically the show is Muhammad Ali going on adventures with his niece Nikki and nephew Damon, and it actually receives generally negative reviews. And yeah, in the Encyclopedia of American Animated TV Shows, David Perlmutter wrote, and I quote, "Ali did attempt acting himself, starring in The Greatest and other film and TV projects, but he proved not to be as good at it as he was at throwing punches. That should have been a sign to the producers of the series that a project featuring him wasn't a good idea, but they ignored it. Banking on Ali's popularity with children to make the series work, it did not. This was instead perhaps the most clumsily animated written and acted series in television animated history with little of value presented. Yeah, I don't know about that. Maybe he didn't like the fact that he was always stopping the white guys in this program.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you where the show went wrong, but I'll do that in the end.
Yep. Obviously, we've got to talk about Muhammad Ali a little bit. And he was involved in several historic boxing matches and feuds, most notably his fights with Joe Frazier and the biggest fight of the century, the Thriller in Manila. I think that was Joe Frazier, and his fight with George Foreman, known as the Rumble in the Jungle, which was watched by a record estimated television audience of 1 billion viewers worldwide, becoming the most watched live television broadcast of all time. Ali thrived in the spotlight at a time when many fighters let their managers do the talking, and he was often provocative and outlandish. He was known for trash talking and often freestyled with rhyme schemes and spoken word poetry, anticipating elements of hip hop.
He was so good at that as well.
And yeah, I've even written down some of my favorites. I done wrestled with an alligator. I done tussled with a whale, handcuffed lightning, thrown thunder in jail only last week. I murdered a rock, injured a stone, hospitalized a brick. I'm so mean, I make medicine sick.
Yeah. So I love that. Yeah.
Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. His hands can't hit what his eyes can't see. Now you see me, now you don't. George thinks he will, but I know he won't. And my favorites was the Ali ring rhymes. This is incredible. So this was basically Ali's game plan in a nutshell. So if he run, we'll get him in 1. If that don't do, we'll get him in 2. If he talks about me, I'll have him in 3. If he makes me sore, I'll cut it to 4. If he keep talking jive, I'll do him in 5. If I do the mix, he'll be down in 6. When I'm in heaven, he'll be down in 7. He will fall in 8 to prove that I'm great, and he'll be mine in round 9.
Brilliant. I mean, there's been no one since Ali, right? No one even close to him.
My favorite was, if he keeps talking jive, I'll do him in 5. Most definitely my favorite. And God, I think I even had the tapes of Thriller in Manila and Rumble in the Jungle, and I used to watch that with my dad when we was kids. Because I'm sure my dad had the tapes of it.
Yeah, I think I've just caught them over the years at some point. Obviously, countless documentaries and.
I think there was a recent one where Ali kept going on a talk show, a particular American talk show. It's not Parky and it's not Frost. It was basically another guy. And he will always go. And basically, they did a documentary just on that, just on the interaction that Ali had with this guy. I remember watching it, I think, a few months back. It's really, really good. Like, I'm gonna try and look it up and go out to find it. I think, man, I don't know if it was Thriller in Manila, the Joe Frazier fight, where I think they
Sonny Liston. No, Sonny Liston was the Miami one, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I'm talking about the one. There was a fight where he had Joe Frazier, and the ref just stopped it. I think they towards the end, the ref just literally stopped the fight because they literally beat the
7 bells out of each other.
7 bells, 15 bells, whatever you want to call it. Like, I think the ramifications of that fight, I think it kind of had it on both of them. Really, like they were not the same.
Wasn't this like the 15 rounders as well, or something?
Yeah.
It wasn't, it wasn't like the 12 rounds we got today. It was like,
but those two genuinely didn't like each other, and they genuinely. I think this was one of the few boxing matches where I thought, these two are going to try and kill each other. Because obviously you'll have the whole build up of a fight. Oh, I'm gonna get you, sucker, and I'm gonna do this, sucker, and at the end of 12 rounds, they're all hugging and they're best mates. But I think with this fight and these two, they tried to maim and really hurt each other, and it was stopped because the referee was like, "I'm not gonna let this happen. You're gonna kill each other." I don't know who was worse for wear. It didn't really matter who was worse for wear, but yeah, that was that fight that those two had. I'm not sure if it was Thriller Manila. I'm not sure if it was another fight, but yeah, those two. Woo. And then obviously the Ali rope-a-dope, the classic rope-a-dope in the
George Foreman.
Rumble in the Jungle, and that was a tactical masterclass from.
I mean, like Rocky
Ali.
films are made out of that, right?
Well, yeah. Well, speaking of Rocky films, they're all on Amazon, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yes, they are on Amazon Prime Video. I'm not sure how long for.
Might have to give them a watch.
Knowing then they'll probably cut it down next week. Yeah, I've watched like the first 3 already. So I saw it and I was like, oh, Rocky, don't mind if I do.
Rocky 4 is definitely one of the best ones.
I think it's the best out of the
yeah,
whole series.
I mean, Rocky 5 was atrocious, but
well, by his own admission, it was. That's why he did Rocky Balboa. And I'm glad you enjoyed the video I sent you of Muhammad Ali taking down those 2 white women.
Oh, I thought it was only one white woman. To be fair,
the second one, which was like, I don't know. It's like, well, yeah, you don't know. Well, I know.
I don't know about that.
Sit your ass down, Karen.
Whilst we're on Black History Month, obviously, this is one of the most unhealthy attitudes as well, where white people genuinely feel like they're in any way comparable to black people. When you walk into a building, your white skin and your appearance is instantly more privileged, and I think that's what people don't understand. I'm a white guy. I don't get it. How can I get it? I don't live this every day. I can only live this vicariously, but I'm certainly more aware now than I ever was. You need to kind of understand that you don't know. You don't even know.
You have no idea.
And you don't have the right to then say people that you're not privileged. Like, you don't have that right. I'm sorry. It's just...
Yeah, and she was like, oh, well, I mean, it's like, yeah, you can do all of this, and you're from England, whereas me, a black man, I live in this country, I can't do a fraction of the things you can do.
But it's just what we were talking about earlier, right? I don't have the experience with the police that you do. I haven't been stopped and searched. I've been stopped whilst I was on the road, asking what I'm doing at 4:00 in the morning on the lockdown. But that's it. They're like, oh, you're going to work? All right, I'll see you later. I don't have that experience with the police. I don't have any negative experiences with the police. Right? I've never been arrested, thank God.
Me neither, by the way. So I'll get that out there. Just because I've had encounters with police don't mean I've been arrested. So don't get any twisted ideas, listeners. All right?
I mean, you just had the classic black.
I'm 6 foot black.
White privilege is a thing, and I think white people need to recognize that.
Yeah, it's like, don't compare yourself to no black man. Because I don't like how you talk. It's like, yeah, because you don't like how I talk, because you don't like how...
I really like what he said, though. Like, I'm here being proud, trying to teach my people to be proud and this and that and the other. I really like that. Please put that on if you haven't already, put it on the Yesterday's Capers thing, because I think that's definitely one to watch.
Absolutely. And yeah, just the Karen at the end trying to chime in.
I don't know about that.
I don't know. Yeah, you don't know. I know. But sit down, man.
It was basically like, sit down.
Yeah.
Just
even the guy with the mic just took it away. It was like, yeah.
Yeah, that was just
move on. Who's got a better question?
I don't know about that. Isn't a legit comeback in an argument.
Absolutely not. And even all the interviews he did with Parky, they're all really good.
I have watched a couple actually, just recently, because I think he's.
They're all on YouTube, pretty much. Like, go out of your way to look up some of those interviews of Parky. Like, they're really, really good. And even like when he's on talk shows or whatever, he's always good value. And obviously, like as a Muslim, I'm glad that he managed to revert or convert to like the Sunni Islam and not
from Nation,
from
Nation
of
of Islam.
that.
But the thing is, like, because he was like that with Malcolm X and stuff like that. So, and you obviously see some of the things. Even the Sonny Liston fight that's why I was talking about it earlier, was about religion, right? Sonny Liston was going on about Christianity, he was going on about Islam and stuff like that. And they were basically like, right, let's have a war of the religions kind of thing in the ring, obviously. So yeah, obviously he was a great advocate for Islam, and the thing is, he's like he in his star in the Walk of Fame in Los Angeles, right? He's got his is on the wall, so you're not treading over the name of the Prophet.
Yeah. But and the thing about Muhammad Ali and what it kind of taught me, particularly with his funeral, it was like, don't tell me Islam and the West is not compatible, because you had millions and millions of people tuning in on TV, watching a janaza or a funeral of a Muslim guy. You had like imams there reading from the Quran. You had the whole sermon and like imams and preachers and all those things, doing all those things and literally doing what, yeah, and it was like on a Friday, no less. And you had people watching, you had people coming there, giving their respects, millions and millions watching it on TV around the world. I remember watching it from like start to end, pretty much. It's just like, don't tell me that it's not compatible or it's Islam and the West or whatever, because you literally had all those people who were listening to passages from the Quran for like the first time, maybe not knowing what it is, but the fact that he was Muslim and they were doing it in that way. Yeah, I just wanted to say that. And right, let's talk about this cartoon.
Right, so Muhammad Ali did so many good things in his life. This wasn't that good. Right, so and here's why it went wrong. And I don't think it was the acting. I think the acting was actually all right. And I liked the fact that it was Muhammad Ali, right? It was him doing superhero stuff because he was cool, right? That concept is incredible. Where it went wrong was in the writing. Nothing happened for like 20 minutes and then everything happened in the last 3 minutes. I could have literally watched the intro, fast forwarded it to the last 3 minutes and wrote notes on that and it would have been the same outcome. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it was. But apart from that, it was basically Scooby-Doo. I thought it was even Hanna-Barbera to begin with, just cashing in on the name.
Well, Hanna-Barbera did cash on a name, but it wasn't Muhammad Ali. I was gonna say there was a lot of dialogue. There was a lot of things that were there just for the sake of it being there, and I think they had a lot of trouble like moving the story along. If that's the case, then make it 10 minutes. I think Mike Tyson's Mysteries was about 10 minutes long. I think it was similar to Mike Tyson's Mysteries in that respect. If that's the case, then don't make it 20 odd minutes. Even that Gary Coleman show was only like 10 minutes each. At least it was 10 minutes long. But like if you're gonna do that, make it. But I didn't think there was anything overly wrong with this show. It's like you said, Muhammad Ali did a lot of good things. I think 1977 was probably like he was at the height, not maybe necessarily the height. I think his prime was taken away from him because he had the guts to stand up for what he felt was right. Vietnam War and
Nearly got put in prison, lost his belts.
and I was like 68 was kind of like where he was kind of coming into his prime. So he lost a lot of his prime in terms of fighting, but I think his name probably in the 70s was as big as it could be, and I think he even wrestled Antonio Inoki, who's like a huge name in the name of professional wrestling, and in particular Japanese professional wrestling. Obviously, Antonio Inoki, he's like a legend of pro wrestling. I think he had like an exhibition match with him, and his name was huge.
So I wasn't actually sure it was him to begin with in the voices.
It is.
Starts off, he's wrestling a croc.
By the way, the first episode was called The Great Alligator.
Yeah, the great. I didn't write down the names, but yeah, the first one. All right, so kids are playing with a frog. They hear commotion, see a boy getting into trouble in the water. They grab vines and put him to safety. He's getting like attacked by something in the water. Everyone's afraid of what's in the water, and the kids know someone who's not afraid. And it looks like this is like set in Africa. I wasn't sure exactly where it was set. And I'm going to say crocs, not alligator. I'm pretty sure this was
set
a croc.
In America. It was set in America because Henry was a Native American.
So this must have been like South America, like the Everglades or something like that, right?
Probably somewhere in the United States.
Somewhere in the US where there was alligators then, not crocodiles. So they go and see Uncle Ali. He's on the phone telling how he handcuffed lightning through thunder in jail. I murdered a rock, injured a stone. I'm so mean, I make medicine sick. All these. So I really enjoyed those. So they go see alligator. It's getting dark. Show Ali the swamp. They want him to catch it, but he's got to fight in Miami. And I think this was the Battle of the Religions one. They go to the village, and people leaving because the alligator made waves, and they broke the houses. So he doesn't. So he says, "Don't go. Ali is here." White guys come and survey something. Ali asks, "What?" Ali and their nephews are waiting at the village at night time. So this is where it gets a bit boring in the middle, to be fair. So there's waves in the middle of the night. The alligator is here. Everyone battens down the hatches. Ali goes and has a little talk. And then after a literal chat, it's quiet. A few minutes or hours later, another racket. They try and go figure out where it lives. So they kind of go all the way to where it lives and then come back. And there's some weird brute guys following them in the undergrowth. And then they're camping at night time. By the morning, they go searching again. They go back to where the alligator, go back to where they were, and the alligator comes back. Ali is back to wrestle the croc, and then another one comes as he's fighting it, and then the alligator was a white guy's robot, and they were just trying to like get everyone away. The brute guy just wants his autograph. He was just a red herring, and at the end, Ali gives advice about staying healthy. And then episode 4, which was this was definitely set in Africa.
Oh, I watched that one too.
Do you want to do it then? And that was the only other one I watched.
Ali's African Adventure.
Yeah. Do you want to watch it? That's the last one I watched.
Yeah, because obviously I wrote for the first episode. Yeah, I wrote Ali did his medicine stick. He did the whole the ring thing as well. As like, if he give me jive, I'll take him in 5.
Yeah.
He gets in the mix, I'll get him in 6. I love it so much. If he talks jive. You know, after all this time of doing all these like 70s shows, I'm still not sure what jive is. But any Americans, any old head Americans, any OG Black Americans want to tell me what jive is and what jiving consists of, then please hit me up. Because obviously the Native American land, the surveyors are basically wanting the land for themselves, I'm guessing, and that's why they were trying to scare people away with this alligator. And obviously, Mr. Bulgus was the name of the native guy, I believe. And yeah, Ali knew the surveyors were fake, and they were trying to use it to intimidate the natives. Okay, so Ali's African Adventure. So, and in true American style, because they don't know anything about Africa, they were in Africa. Not sure if it's Ghana, not sure if it's Kenya, not sure if it's Zambia. I'm in Africa, and they're at the Ogamba Game Reserve, where there's no hunting allowed. They're with someone. They're with Keo, so they're traveling with Keo, who looks after the preserve. They get attacked by a rhino, and Keo gets knocked unconscious. They have to try and find the nearest tribes people. Everyone in the village knows who Muhammad Ali is, and the chief is welcoming Ali to the village. They're after a doctor who can cure Keo, but he has concussion and he should be okay. And obviously Ali's like, I definitely don't want a rematch with the Rhino. Frankie's looking around thinking that there's something not right and looking for Ali. And basically they're with the chief, and he's talking about how they need to hunt for a panther who's killing livestock. The panther jumps out of nowhere, but someone called Dobie kills the panther and claims the booty or whatever it is he claims. Ali gets suspicious about Dobie, and he's trying to wonder why the panther had to be killed. And Keo reckons that Dobie might be the poacher. There's an elephant that crashes the big feast for Ali and destroys everything, as you do. An elephant, you just come and crash the party. There's a black mamba snake that's about to attack, but Ali saves the day. And the chief is declaring that the elephant should be killed. And Ali rides the elephant and tries to get it out of harm's way. And I think it's discovered that Dobie was the one who is the one who killed. And he's been disgraced and banished from the village.
It's the same thing, right? It's just had loads of filler, all the action at the end.
Yeah, this episode I thought would have because it was one that kind of piqued my interest when I saw Ali's African Adventure. But I dozed off on this one. I'm not even gonna lie. And the finale was Terror in the Deep. Like typical cartoon finales, it's set underwater
for some strange reason.
Yeah, I don't know why that's the thing. Like so many finales we've watched, it's always underwater
or in space or something like that. Something.
Yes, in space. Right. Ali and kids are on an expedition under the sea. They're extracting vital substances, and they're going off the coast of Orpheus Island, as there could be a sea monster. Ali wants to go because it can help save lives by getting these substances in the sea. There's a Professor Dave Monet who doesn't believe because it starts off with the fisherman being attacked by a sea monster, and obviously Professor Dave Monet is like, yeah, there is no sea monster. The fishermen are just making it up. There's a marine biologist, Bradley, and he says, look, I've seen the monster myself. Professor still doesn't believe it, and they're gonna head out to sea. Ali wants to go where the action is, and he sees the sea monster for himself. And the sea monster is going after the submarine, but Ali distracts it and leads it away. And Ali traps the sea monster. The locals are gathering and they're talking about the sea monster and how it will affect their daily lives. Ali still wants to do some digging, and he starts to get suspicious of the marine biologist Bradley, and he's wondering what he's up to. And Damon and Nikki are looking around on the sub, and they think they're alone. But then the professor goes under the sea with Damon and Nikki, and the sea monster is back, and he goes after the sub, but Ali saves them. And Ali has a look, and he sees the marine biologist with controls, and he goes after him, and he's the one controlling the sea monster. And so basically, it's a whale, but Bradley has put some supersonic sounds so that the whale will respond to his every call, and he paints it green to make it into a sea monster, disguising it as a monster. Now the reason is that buried under the sea is Nazi gold, and Bradley wants all of that gold for himself, and he's trying to stop everybody who's trying to get near it. Ali lures Bradley into a cave where the controls don't work, and he gives up. And Bradley is forced to donate the gold to the villagers. And that was I Am the Greatest, The Adventures of Muhammad Ali.
Look, it certainly wasn't a bad little cartoon. I'm not going to tell you it was bad cartoon because it wasn't. It was just too long, and stuff happened right at the end when it should have happened right at the beginning. That's all.
Yeah, I do think the criticism was a tad bit harsh, but yeah. I mean, if 1977 is probably really stacked, Hanna-Barbera are probably at their peak in terms of what they're doing, and you've still got other cartoons and other people still doing their thing. So yeah, it makes sense. Next up, the Gary Coleman Show, and this show came out in September 1982. And some of the things happening in the world. The first International Day of Peace is proclaimed by the United Nations. The first emoticons are posted by Scott Falman. Amin Gemayel, brother of Bashir Gemayel, who was assassinated, is elected president of Lebanon. The Incubus is in the cinemas. And Zoom by Fat Larry's Band was in the charts. I love this song.
I might have to download that.
Absolutely love this song. It's probably as big a one-hit wonder as you could probably think of. They didn't have any other songs other than Zoom, but it's a great song by a great band.
Yeah, I think I would have put my money on that being bloody Spandau Ballet.
Oh no, this is a soul song. This has got rhythm and blues written all over this one. But the Gary Coleman Show. This is a animated series produced by Hanna-Barbera Productions. I haven't heard that name in a little while. And originally aired on NBC during the 1982-1983 season. The series featured Gary Coleman as the voice of Andy LeBeau, an apprentice angel who was dispatched back to Earth to earn his wings by helping others. The character of Andy LeBeau was a spin-off character from Coleman's made-for-TV movie The Kid with Broken Halo. And each episode, Andy was dispatched to help a child in need and resolve his problem by his supervisor and fellow angel Angelica, or Angie. The antagonist in each episode was Hornswoggle, who tried to make Andy's mission more difficult, usually by getting him to make the wrong choice or by otherwise complicating the mission. And it was up to Andy to correct whatever mistake he made and foil Hornswoggle's plans. A little bit about Gary Coleman. He was an actor and comedian, and he was one of the highest paid child actors in the late 1970s and early 80s, and he was rated first on a list of VH1 100 Greatest Kid Stars. He received several accolades throughout his career, including 2 Young Artist Awards and 4 People's Choice Awards. Coleman was best known for his role as Arnold Jackson in the sitcom Different Strokes, and also voiced Kevin in the animated show Waynehead. He made his film debut on The Right Track in 1981. His other films include the comedies Jimmy the Kid and The Kid with the Broken Halo, as I mentioned, both released in 1982. The cult film Dirty Work, and appearing in the satirical comedy film An American Carol, and an independent film Midgets versus Mascots. That's what the name of the film is. All right, don't come at me. He also starred in the video games The Curse of Monkey Island and cult game Postal 2. And despite having a successful acting career, Coleman struggled financially in later life. And in 1989, he successfully sued his parents and business advisor over misappropriation of his assets, only to declare bankruptcy a decade later. And in 2010, Gary Coleman died due to epidural hematoma. Coleman is frequently listed as one of the most influential child actors in the world. He was rated first on a list of VH1 100 Greatest Kid Stars on TV and was noted by MTV for having an undeniable impact on pop culture. Mike Hogan from Vanity Fair wrote on his career, saying, "He was unquestionably a superstar, overshadowing them with his radiant charisma and boundless energy, but the kidney condition that enabled him, even as a teen, to play the world's most precocious little brother on TV complicated his life in ways most of us will never understand." And Randy Kester, who was Coleman's attorney, told the Dallas News in 2010, "The world is going to be a little less happy without Gary. For being a small guy, he has such a big impact on the world." So, the Gary Coleman Show.
I mean, everyone uses that whole such a big heart for a small person or whatever it is. And I don't like that. I dubbed this the it has absolutely nothing to do with Gary Coleman show, because it doesn't. It has absolutely nothing to do with him. It could have
We're
been
just talking about Willis.
But it could have been anyone else. It didn't. He wasn't even playing himself.
No, but I think it was based on a film that he was in.
Yeah, that doesn't cut it, I'm afraid. This definitely is the absolutely nothing to do with Gary Coleman. Could have been anyone else show. I'm going to add more bits as we go along.
I don't understand. It's got nothing to do with. So you're saying that he didn't feature much in the episode?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it could have been anybody else. It could have been anyone, anything.
I think it comes from his film. He starred as the angel in a film that I just mentioned, The Broken Halo. And yeah, it was Andy LeBeau. And so it was just a cartoon version of it, I guess.
So it should have been called the Andy LeBeau show then. What I'm saying is Gary Coleman. It wasn't anything to do with Gary Coleman. Like,
he's in it, and he's voicing it. No,
yeah, what I'm saying, yeah, but that's fine. That's fine. But
so you think it should be called the Andy LeBeau Show or Broken Halo cartoon?
Any one of those two would have been better. That's all I'm saying. When an actor voices someone, it's not called that person's show, is it?
It might as well be called the Gary Coleman Show. Shoot.
Nah, man, disagree. This has nothing to do with him, man. Like, as in, it is and it isn't, right? It's him, fair enough. It's playing an actor that he was doing based on, fair enough. But a Gary Coleman show, man. Like, you know, if you was watching,
maybe it was a way to kind of get people to watch it.
I don't know, the Lewis Hamilton show, and it's just like nothing to do with him.
No, but if he's in it though.
But he wasn't in it though, was he? He wasn't. Gary Coleman wasn't in the show.
Yeah, he was. It was him. He's doing the voice.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is he was acting. So if you were saying, I don't know, James Bond, for example, and you were like, you would never say that's James Bond. You'd always say that's Daniel Craig or Pierce Brosnan, Roger Moore, whoever it is, right? You're not there playing the characters, but you're just saying, oh, that's them.
But I think they did that just to get people to watch it. I don't think people are going to watch the Andy LeBeau show, but they might watch the Gary Coleman show. They might not even watch The Broken Halo, the animated series, but they might watch the Gary Coleman show. So I do think Hanna-Barbera, like I said, they wanted to kind of make the most of his name. In 1982, Gary Coleman was probably at the height of his powers, and it was a way for Hanna-Barbera to say, hey, let's make a cartoon, and based on your film, And instead of calling it The Broken Halo, the animated series of Andy LeBeau, we'll call it The Gary Coleman Show. I think it's a smart way of getting people to watch the show. Whether it's right or wrong, I don't know, but it makes sense to me. And what are they going to do? They're going to get Hoyt Curtin, Hanna-Barbera's go-to guy for theme songs, and he's going to come up with, and he's going to cook something up for this show. I'm pretty sure it was him.
Yeah, I mean, if that's how you feel, I mean, you're wrong, but I mean, no, what I'm saying is like, Hanna-Barbera use him as a cash cow, right? That's it. That's the only thing.
But yeah, I don't think I'm hiding that intention.
No, I mean, I didn't see the what. If I want to watch something about Gary Coleman, I want to watch something about Gary Coleman. I felt shortchanged, is all, which is not no pun intended there. Just
come on, really? Joke, shortchanged. Come on.
Yeah, that was that.
You could have said anything else. Come on. Come on.
Literally no pun intended there. Anyway, so on to what was the baddie's name? Never wrote it down because it was
Hornswoggle.
Hornswoggle?
Yes, Hornswoggle.
He was a hybrid between Dick Dastardly and Gargamel. Tell me I'm wrong.
Okay. Damn.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying.
Okay, yeah, but that's the thing is, it's Hanna-Barbera. They thought, how can we make money? How can we make this thing to be a success? I'm not sure if it worked because it didn't last very long, and it was only about a certain amount of episodes. It was about, I think, maybe 6 times 2, because obviously it was 2 10-minute episodes.
Yeah, I like that because I've got a way of just watching one 20-minute one.
Well, yeah, it's one of those things where they did that, and I think Hanna-Barbera looked to Gary Coleman. Look at our track record. We can make cartoons work. We can make it a success. Instead of I'm sure the idea probably would have been to call it Broken Halo cartoon or call it the LeBeau cartoon, but obviously those names won't if it's a kid on Saturday morning. And you got to remember as well, like Gary Coleman, white people love Gary Coleman. White people love Gary Coleman. So if they see a cartoon where it says the Gary Coleman Show, then you can think, gee willikers, I would love to watch the Gary Coleman Show. But yeah, black people, we'll watch it, we'll support it. But white people, if they see the Gary Coleman Show on their TV guide, they're going to tune in and they're going to watch. That's what it is. But right, let's talk about this show. So you can talk about your first two then.
Fouled Up Fossil, Dick Dastardly and Gargamel. So he's an angel. He's a guardian angel, and no one's allowed to know he's a guardian angel. Gary's doing homework on levitation. He lands in Oakville, calling him LeBeau. So I was just trying to figure that out. LeBeau races with Baddie. Teacher Angie comes. He says he is levitating. Then Spence is going down the mountain. The brakes are gone. Earth One calls him Andy. So I didn't realize the Andy LeBeau thing. I didn't understand that. Spence and the girl and LeBeau ask if they can help the archaeologists in town. Tina, the girl, finds a cave. LeBeau doesn't want to. He turns away, but gets told off by the teacher angel because he's supposed to be protecting them. Baddie comes in the cave and he disappears. Then LeBeau puts a halo on and helps Tina and Spence because they nearly die 100 times. They all find the cave drawings and tools. Then Hornswoggle blocks the cave entrance. They use the caveman tools. They get out, and Angie makes him do lines. Gone. LeBeau is chilling, and Angie comes. And if he wants to keep his wings, he has to keep busy protecting Oakville. Someone's stuck on a ladder. It's Bartholomew. LeBeau makes a chair cushion is blown. He goes, "Oh, that was lucky the chair was there." So it's like a thankless task. So rule 332A, a guardian angel is not allowed to reveal his identity. Bartholomew loves Lydia. Lydia thinks Andy's weird. He bumps into Chris, the girl. He helps Chris take stuff to auction. Drops weights down the hill and hits the bad guy, but it goes kind of through him. Then he has to kind of stop them going crazy. Angie can't see Hornswoggle, then he has to go and stop the weights, manages to, but it bends his halo. The auctioneer is Hornswoggle, Baddie makes it thunder. LeBeau doesn't do his homework on climate control, but Angie comes and fixes it. Auction is doing well, but LeBeau throws his halo and the Baddie catches it. Now everyone has to bid it, but everyone's bidding it up. Angie appears, tells him off, takes him back. The end. That was the Nothing to Do with Gary Coleman show.
I watched an episode called Andy Sings the Blues. And He gets summoned by Angie, and he's getting told off for recklessly wasting halos, and he has to go back to work. He stops trains from colliding to one another, but the train conductor thinks Mac did it, and Mac starts to brag about it because he's like, okay, maybe I did do it. And then Andy wants to try and teach him a lesson, but Angie's stopping him, and he has to be a guardian angel or else. And he has to let him be the hero because he's like, I'm the hero. I'm the one who did it, but that's obviously not your job. You're not supposed to be bragging about that kind of stuff. And he decides to go to help Tina and Spence with some other stuff. He wants to hang out with them instead. And Tina is practicing for the sack race. I think they called it something else in America. I don't think it's called the sack race in America.
Do they call them sacks?
Don't know. But she was calling it something else. But I wrote the sack race because that's the only thing I know. Then Tina gets stuck and rolls around in the sack. Andy saves her, but Tina thought it was Chris. Spence shows Andy the paper with Mac as a hero. And then the mayor is rewarding Mac with an award. Andy saves a cat's life, but no one's there to see it. He gets appreciated by a cat. And Angie was saying that that's what it's all about. Someone has to appreciate you without you being all braggadocious about it. And Angie lets Andy hang out with his friends. Then I watched Mac's Snow Job, which was the last episode. So Andy's watching a snow fight from the clouds, and he wants to join in the action. Angie's telling him he has to go to work and stay out of trouble. They were talking about snow angels in the snow, and Andy thinks that the kids know about his secret, but they're just talking about making snow angels. They're making a snowman, and Mac thinks that he makes it better, and he ends up destroying their one. Andy wants to get Mac, but Angie reminds him that he's a guardian and he's not allowed to attack people. Then they go sledge riding, and Andy helps them over the bridge. And Andy nearly says, because they go, "Oh my God, we're really glad that there's a bridge." And then he's about to say, "You're welcome," and then she like puts a scarf in his mouth, like you can't be telling people secrets. They're basically playing, yeah. So Mac then tricks them by saying that there's an avalanche, but then he pelts them with snow. Chris is trying to teach Andy how to do a figure eight on the ice, but Mac tricks them again, and the snowball knocks off the halo. Mac then falls into the ice, and he's shouting for help, but then Boy Who Cries Wolf and all of that. No one believes him, but Angie says that Andy has to help because that's what you do. Andy finds his halo, but it's frozen. But Angie tells him that you have to try and help him without your halo. So he uses his scarf to save Mac. And yeah, that's how that episode ended. And that was the Gary Coleman Show. Last but not least, Todd McFarlane's Spawn. So this show came out in May 1997. Some of the things happening in the world. The Labour Party of the United Kingdom returns to power for the first time in 18 years, with Tony Blair becoming Prime Minister in a landslide majority in the 1997 general election. Katrina and the Waves win the Eurovision Song Contest for the United Kingdom with their song Love Shine a Light.
Katrina and the Waves. Why do I know that band so well?
Bum, bum, bum. Did
a Macmillan Cancer video when I was at college, and this was their it was called The Sunshine Walk, and obviously this was the soundtrack. So
yes, I remember this Eurovision Song Contest when they won. This is when people liked us, and
I mean, I never watched the Eurovision Song Contest. I think it's the most trashy thing ever. I think you either watch it.
That's why I love watching it, because it's so trashy.
Yeah, I think you either love that sort of thing or you don't. I mean, there's always been people at school and at work and stuff like that. They'll always watch it, and I've just never ever seen it.
It's crazy, right? Because like UK flops. I think the last time we did it, we got 0 points. I think your man got 0 points, but it's the most watched. If you go to all the European countries who watch Eurovision, more people watch it in the UK than probably the whole of Europe combined. No, because it's like nobody's going to vote for us, even if we put our best people on there. But then what I don't like is that they sneak in these random ass people that I ain't never heard of, And then when it comes to Eurovision, they're singing the most naff song you could possibly think of. And they're not even singing well most of the time. But yeah, it's but Eurovision it's one of those things where because of all of those things that you just said, it's trashy, it's rubbish. That's what makes it so good. It's like you get the most weirdest people in Europe just come out, and you realize as well one little game I like to play in Eurovision is black people live there. So there's black people in Latvia, there's black people in Estonia, there's black people in Luxembourg, there's black people in Malta. It's my favorite game. I'm like, damn, there's black people there. The first genetically modified 3-parent baby is born. The Lost World, Jurassic Park, was in the cinemas. And I Want to Be the Only One by Eternal and BB Winans was #1 in the charts. What a tune. Shout out to Eternal. They are the soundtrack of yesterday's Capers Women's History Month. Right. Todd McFarlane's Spawn, also known as Spawn, the animated series, or simply Spawn, is a adult animated superhero TV series. The series centers around the story of former Marine Force Recon Lieutenant Colonel Al Simmons, who worked as a government assassin in covert black ops. He was betrayed and killed by a man whom he believed to be his close friend. The man later to be revealed as Chapel, and burned him alive with a flamethrower during the mission. Upon his death, Simmons vowed revenge on Chapel and hoped that he would one day return to his beloved wife, Wanda. Because of his life as an assassin, Simmons' soul goes to hell, and in order to accomplish his vow, he makes a pact with the devil, Maleboglia, who is the overlord on the 8th plane of hell. The pact was a simple one. Simmons would become a soldier in Maleboglia's army, known as Hellspawn, or Spawn for short, in return for the ability to walk the earth once again in order to see Wanda. However, Simmons was tricked by Maleboglia and his body was not returned to him, and he's returned to Earth 5 years after his death. He has been given a different body, which was a festering, pungently cadaverous, maggot-ridden, walking corpse that had a massive living red cape attached to it. And because of his new body had been rotten for some time and was in an advanced state of decay, his face had become heavily malformed to the point that he barely appeared human, which led to Simmons donning a mask in order to cover his grotesque appearance. The series had achieved a small but loyal cult following who praised the animation, writing, voice acting, music, and dark tone, whereas the graphic violence and intentional unresolved cliffhanger has attracted criticism. Variety stated in 1997 that it is as dark, as complex as anything HBO has attempted in the live-action arena, and visually, it's quite the stunner. HBO wanted different, and it surely got it. A more mixed review came from the Dallas Morning News, and they questioned why anyone would want to subject themselves to such a relentlessly grim, gruesome, dehumanizing experience. Yeah, I think you kind of got a point, actually, when I think of it. Todd McFarlane's Spawn was ranked 5th on IGN's list of the greatest comic book cartoons of all time, 23rd on the IGN list of top 25 primetime animated series of all time, despite the fact that the show was aired at midnight. Series producer Eric Radomski reflected in a retrospective interview that Spawn TAS was a personal triumph for me. Very rarely do artists get the opportunity to have as much uncensored creative freedom as I did at HBO on Spawn. Woo, okay. Talk about this show, seeing as you loved it so much.
This was one because I watched this last and was expecting.
I watched this last as well.
Yeah, I was expecting something fairly similar to the other two. I wasn't keen on the beginning because I had flashbacks of that Maniac Mansion. Kind of just felt like something really rubbish was about to happen. And anyway, then I was like, oh, okay, these guys are getting shot in the head, and then there's blood going everywhere. But it's like very comic book. It was so cool. And yeah, fair enough. It wasn't that like it's not for the faint-hearted. Let's put it that way. But it was like really cool. And if you listen to the actual drama and the clip, you got bad marks for the cliffhangers. No, come on, man. Like that was like literally what made this was the first show in a long time that I was when it went to the end of it, I was like, oh, is that it? Is that the 25 minutes over? And I was like, okay, next one. I loved every second of this thing. It was like it's an adult comic book, blood, gore, everything going on. But if you don't mind that sort of thing, then this is right up your street.
Yeah, this cartoon kind of threw me for a loop. I had no idea it was an animated, adult animated. So like seeing all the swear words kind of did throw me a little bit. It was a bit dark and grim and gloomy. So I kind of get that review a little bit in that.
Yeah, but the
respect.
thing is, it's like kind of like, but Batman comics are dark and like, so like if you know.
But you know what? I was absolutely hooked for at least about 15, 20 minutes. I was just literally sat there, glued to my chair.
Yeah, exactly, right.
At the like, I don't want to miss anything. Like, I initially struggled with notes, and then by the time I started to make notes, it was over. It was what 27 minutes. That did not feel like 27 minutes.
Yeah, because this is actually done like a series, right? It's not done like single episodes. They're not well rounded because they continue, and you know it's like it kind of lights little fires here and there, and then by the I'm guessing by the end of the series, all the fires have joined together into one great big fire. Yeah, I don't know. I'm obviously I'm a fanboy of this thing now, and that small cult following has grown by one. So
No, yeah, I thought this was outstanding. I thought this was excellent. I think this is probably one of the best animated discoveries made in a while. Actually, I thought this was excellent. I thought this was very, very good. I thought the story was fascinating. It was intriguing. It was one of those where I struggled to pick what to watch because it was one of those things where I wish I could watch everything. This is one of those days where I regret only watching. How much did I get around to watching in the end? I think only 3. So I regret watching just 3.
I mean,
But
I'll probably go back and watch these now.
yeah, do you want to talk about Burning Visions?
Yeah, and the first 2 episodes of mine, obviously.
Okay, first 2 episodes. Go for it.
You know what I'm like with I do like a good sequential viewing. Basically, yeah, my first note was like scary one, and then so 400 years have passed, and it's time for a new warrior to emerge from the darkness. This is like the first kind of bit you get, and the battlefield has changed, but the prize is the same. It's the human soul. 2 journalists are walking through an alley. Mr. Stevens comes. He's scared. He gets shot. Like this is like in the first couple of minutes. Both reporters get shot, one in the leg, and he says, "Who else knows?" And he's like, "No one." Oh, and a man comes in and he pours fuel on him, and a shadowy creature comes and lays out the baddies, and then says, "So the baddie says, 'What the hell are you?'" And then he gets like absolutely destroyed. The last reporter guy, and who's got like fuel all over him, and he's really scared, and he tries to shoot the creature. The spark ignites from the bullet and then sets him on fire, so he's died as well. So the creature has someone who keeps him in check. This is this weird clown thing, and then he calls the clown thing.
Is that Violator?
Is that the clown thing? The fat clown?
I think so.
Yeah, I didn't write his name down, but it's kind of a weird thing going on here. And then he calls him. This is where you learn he called it kind of the Hellspawn. He calls him the Hellspawn. So Spawn, you later learn is called Al Simmons. You can't remember what he can't remember what he just did, and even though he just destroyed those people. He's a guy that seems to have. And he used to be a normal person. Two guys come in and see if it's okay. The man comes and says, "You don't remember, but it doesn't matter." This is like the old wise guy. The man comes in and says, doesn't matter what you didn't remember. It's what you learn now that's important." So the scenes of crime at the murder scene, they're trying to figure out what's going on. So Spawn is having flashbacks of his former life. He's now standing outside his house looking at it. It looks like his best mate's moved in on his life, and he hasn't a clue how long it's been or what's happened. He's the new recruit of hell. Minder comes in and winds him up and says, "You've been gone 5 years. He used to slaughter people. For a living." So he goes to his grave, he digs it up, and he has a flashback, and he sees his wedding. He made a deal with the devil. What he said is Mal Bolga, something like that. Cut a deal for his soul if he sees Wanda. Now he's a ranking officer in the Hellspawn. Tony is calling him. Who's one of the chief bad guys, like a general bad guy, we'll call him. He's calling a man, telling him what happened in the alley. It's Win. This guy is the chief bad guy, and Tony tells him about the dead journalist, and he's to look about who's the assassin. Tony needs to find out who the assassin was. So Win's talking to some like official senator guy, and he's someone who is being covered for is a child killer. So the police pull over someone. It's Officer Hector from Internal Affairs, and the police are annoyed because they're skimming off the top. So Hellspawn comes and smashes them all up, and he advises the officer to retire. The game has begun again. A new warrior takes center stage. Right, so episode 2 had these kids playing down a thing. I would put £100 on the table right now. That's Phil and Lil from Rugrats. Hell has many demons in training. Billy Kincaid is the ice cream man, and he takes one of the kids. Pretty gruesome here, to be honest. Spawn's wearing his wedding ring. He sees someone throw out the kid's teddy bear. The man's talking to Spawn in the alley, and it's Teddy and also probably the body of this little girl, which is quite brutal. Spawn says all he needs is Wanda, but he can't have her. The man says, we don't look or smell nice, but we're good people. How long can they hold on to their humanity? The man's talking to the rest of the alleyway folk, and they're not basically they're saying we don't want this guy in our alleyway, the Hellspawn guy. So the man that's spoken at the beginning of this episode is the only guy that's on his side. Then these men come to threaten the alleyway guys. They kill a couple of them. They're Tony's boys, and then Spawn comes to smash them all up, and now everyone likes him, obviously, because they saved his life. Tony calls someone and says, "I don't want my marker." Says, "I want my marker." Basically, wants his guy to come and help him. Al's wife is a lawyer. She's working on a pro bono case of the child killer. So you can kind of see where that's going to go later on. You don't get there in this episode, but the Win guys is get the senator, and he wants to put him in the White House. He's holding the keys to the skeletons in the senator's closet. Macmillan is the senator. Billy, the child killer, is the senator's son. So the guy at the beginning who stole the kid is the senator's son. Police know that the journalists that were killed at the beginning of episode 1 were onto something big. A mercenary killer who looks kind of this brutal guy is working for Tony. He's like a cyborg thing. Weird sidekick for Spawn is talking. And then he just randomly kills this kitten. The weird sidekick turns into a massive demon, and they communicate through telepathy. He shoots him, and now the training begins. And so the weird guy is a native of Hell. There's rules to follow, and he says, "Get with the effing program." Now there's a war on between heaven and hell. Earth is a battlefield. Human souls is a prize. Man tells him he's got a choice, but he has to find out what that choice is. Ooh, and it was so bloody good.
Yeah, obviously, this is one of those programs where you have to follow it and you have to kind of stay with the story. So yeah, upon his return to life, he's seeking out Wanda, who had apparently got over the grief of having lost Al and married another man. And it happens to be Al's best friend, Terry. Yeah, so a little bit of what happens up until I watched the next episode. So yeah, he seeks out Wanda, his wife, and she got over the grief of having lost Al and married another man, Terry Fitzgerald, who was Al's best friend. And they have a daughter together, Cyan. Terry is a respectable man and he works as an analyst for a man named Jason Wynn. Wynn is a power broker in the CIA and secretly a black market arms dealer, among other things. And Jason Wynn is revealed to be the man responsible for the death of Al Simmons due to a disagreement that the two had between each other concerning their work. Jason's action would also prove to be dangerous to the lives of Terry, Wanda, and their daughter Cyan. Realizing that he's no longer the man in Wanda's life, Al swears to protect her and her new family. The series then, Spawn is nesting in dark alleyways, killing any who invade his newfound territory, rejecting these actions as unworthy of Spawn's time and power. Mal Boglia then dispatches another of his minions, the demonic creature known as Violator, and he tries to persuade Spawn to commit acts of violence and savagery in the name of hell. Spawn is struggling to fight the lure of evil as well as seeking to escape being hunted by not only the forces of hell, but the assailants from heaven, who have a need to destroy the Hellspawns in order to cripple the forces of hell so that they do not gain an edge in the escalating war between the two spiritual hosts. And as the war intensifies, the line between the forces of good and evil become increasingly blurry. Spawn finds help along the way in the form of a disheveled old man named Cogliostro, who was once a hellspawn that overcame the demonic powers resting within, amongst a number of other characters. Spawn learns how to shapeshift, and he appears as Terry, and he impregnates Wanda, and it is revealed that there is a prophecy that the child of a hellspawn will play a deciding factor in Armageddon, and maybe the real reason why Spawn was allowed to return to Earth. And so I went on to watch 2 more other episodes. So I watched one called Send in the KKK Clowns. So it starts off with a man who's got this side of fantasy with, he's got like an obsession with KK, like the KKK, and he's like killing black people, and he's saying that he's doing the Lord's work. And it starts with Wanda. She's in her office. Terry is missing, but she's playing it cool. And so the bad guys are trying to get Wanda to reveal herself and reveal where Terry might be, but no such luck. Jason is calling Wanda and wants to go out for dinner. There's lots of disappearances in the area. And yeah, it's just, like I said, it's black people. There's an old black couple. They get into a cab. They end up getting killed. Wanda is missing Terry, and their daughter misses their father. Terry he reaches out to Wanda. She makes an excuse and leaves, and she's been followed. Terry is trapped indoors and he's spooked out. They know that he's in Brooklyn somewhere because he used his credit card. Wanda refuses to like comply with the bad guys because she finds him in Brooklyn, and Spawn saves her. And Spawn's trying to approach Wanda, but she's like terrified out of her mind, and she gets away. Terry, we learn, he gets caught up with this racist killer, and he like basically has all these black people like strung up in his house or in his lair somewhere. It's really quite sinister. And Spawn actually ends up taking care of the KKK man. And the finale, which was Prophecy. So basically, the Heaven Gang are here for the Prophecy as well as Hell, and there's a battle that's set to take place. Spawn wants to protect his wife now that she's involved, and he realizes that Spawn realizes that the child could be a deciding factor, and he could be playing a big role. Spawn is tricked, and it turns out that they want the child more than him. Twitch, meanwhile, remembers he's a police officer, and he remembers that someone shot him, and it's not Spawn, and it's basically, it could be someone from the police as an inside job because he knows too much information. Wanda is worried about Terry leaving, and Wanda is worried about the baby and thinking about having an abortion. Spawn's granny has a heart attack and collapses. There's a police investigation taking place, and they think that Jason Wynn could be corrupt, and Twitch could be a liability, but Twitch's colleague is like, look, he's not a liability, and I'm going to stick up for him. Spawn is seeing his granny. Granny's telling Spawn about the baby and how the baby could be involved. There's another character, Jade, and she was sent to kill Spawn, but she decides not to because she saw that he has a good heart. Twitch confronts the guy who shot him, and they basically apprehend the bad guy. And the bad guy ends up getting shot by Violator. Jade gets hit by the Heaven Mob, and she's urging that obviously Spawn wanted to save her, but obviously she's like, look, this is the destiny, this is what's supposed to happen. Jade is gone so that she could be at peace, and the Heaven Gang are basically telling Spawn that they're after the child after taking Jade. Spawn makes it so that his granny can see her husband Jack, and she wants to join him, but Jack says that you can't join me, you can only join me when the time is right, and you have to take care of the people alive, and you have to take care of the ones that you love. And it ends with Spawn saying, I want my humanity back. And yes, and that was the end of Spawn. Obviously, I did a rush job with it, so I apologize. And yeah, that was the end of Spawn.
Yeah, that was. I wasn't really listening, to be honest, because I'm going to go back and watch it. But I thought it was really good, so I'll definitely go back and watch that.
No, yeah, this was a really really good show. I really liked it. Again, I had to kind of like pick and choose. So if it didn't make sense, then I suggest you go out of your way to watch it and see for yourselves. So yeah, go out and watch it. Right, let's rank these shows now from 3 down to 1.
Right, so at number 3 was the Nothing to Do with Gary Coleman show. Then at 2 was Adventures of Muhammad Ali, and definitely clear winner out in front was Spawn for me.
I think mine's the same.
I mean, Muhammad Ali one gets points from Muhammad Ali, so
Yeah, I guess yeah. So yeah, third for me would be the Gary Coleman show. I thought it was fine actually. It was quite short, to the point.
yeah, it wasn't nothing bad about that show at all.
Storyline was fairly straightforward. So yeah. And then 2 would be I'm the Greatest: The Adventures of Muhammad Ali. I didn't think it was as bad as some of the reviews, but yeah, I thought it was fine. And yeah, I thought comfortably the best was Spawn. I thought this was great. I thought they told an incredible story, and yeah, this was deservedly and number 1. So there you go. And on that bombshell, we're going to bring this episode to an end. Yesterday's Capers is available wherever you get your podcast from. We're available on all the podcast platforms. Turn on your notifications so that you can get new episodes. We're coming up to the 100th episode very, very quickly now, and hopefully we'll try and do something really special for that episode. So watch this space. You can find us on the socials. Instagram is Yesterday's Capers 1. On Twitter it's Yesterday Capers. Facebook.com/Yesterday's Capers. YouTube.com/Yesterday's Capers. You can find me on the socials at Abdullah_Moallim. And on Twitter, it's Abdullah Moallim, all one word. You can send me messages, and you can let me know what you think and what we could do for the 100th episode. And yeah, join us next time for another episode of Yesterday's Capers.